The White House says it is outraged by an Israeli airstrike that killed 7 aid workers in Gaza, including 1 American. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his country's armed forces had, quote, unintentionally struck a convoy from the humanitarian group World Central Kitchen yesterday. President Biden called the organization's founder, Chef Jose Andres, to express condolences for those who died in the strike. The U.S. is also pushing for alternatives to a planned invasion of the southern Gazan city of Rafah. American and Israeli officials discussed this during a virtual meeting yesterday. Nancy Cordes joins us now from the White House. Nancy, it's great to see you. President Biden has not spoken about this strike yet, but earlier today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken talked about the World Central Kitchen aid workers who died. I want to play that and then chat with you on the other side.
We've spoken directly to the Israeli government about this particular incident. We've urged a swift, a thorough, and impartial investigation to understand exactly what happened. And as we have throughout this conflict, we've impressed upon the Israelis the absolute imperative of doing more to protect innocent civilian lives, be they Palestinian children, women, and men, or be they aid workers.
Nancy, we have seen a change in tone and posture from the White House, but no change in policy with regard to providing military aid. Does this strike change that?
It doesn't, at least not yet, Weija, based on the information that we have so far. First of all, White House officials were urging caution today. They said they want to wait for all the information to come out, and they said that they're urging the Israelis to make that information public when they have it before the U.S. makes any decisions. But even beyond that, the NSC spokesman, John Kirby, was pressed by reporters repeatedly today, and he insisted that U.S. military aid to Israel is not in jeopardy, is not going to be conditioned on any particular Israeli behavior. He says that Israel has the right to defend itself and that the U.S. is an ally of Israel, and so it is not going to create any new conditions for military aid at this time, despite the fact that that White House officials were horrified by this incident. I mean, in this case, you had a group of aid workers working for World Central Kitchen, run by the renowned chef Jose Andres, who received a phone call from the president today to express his condolences. And it appears they were doing everything right. They were in a marked vehicle that clearly showed that they were humanitarian workers. They had told the IDF about their movements, and they were moving in a safe zone. So how they ended up being struck by the IDF is really mystifying at this point.
And even though John Kirby, that spokesman, says it is too soon to determine exactly what happened, he also said that the U.S. is outraged over the strike. Tell us more about that piece.
Right. I asked him if the U.S. is outraged, what that really means, how that is going to translate into U.S. policy, and what kinds of answers the U.S. is pushing for right now when it comes to this incident. Take a listen to that exchange.
You said that the White House is outraged by the strike that killed these World Central Kitchen workers. Has the White House already conveyed that outrage to anyone in the Israeli government, and what was their response?
Well, I won't speak for the Israelis. We've been very clear about our feelings over this particular strike and our expectations of the Israelis.
So notable that he came out and said that there is outrage on the part of the U.S. government. We know now that at least one of the victims was a dual U.S. citizen, although the White House said its heart goes out to all of the citizens who were killed. These were people who were simply trying to make a difference and provide food in an unbelievably difficult environment where you have hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who are lacking the food they need right now.
And Nancy, I want to talk to you, too, about the conversation that President Biden had this morning with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It was their first call since they had a summit in November in California. The administration set low expectations, saying this was simply a check-in, but they actually talked about a lot. What can you tell us?
Sure. They talked about everything from the Taiwan Strait and needing to provide security there to U.S. concerns about Chinese support for Russia's military-industrial complex. They talked about what the White House described as China's unfair trade practices. So they did cover a lot of ground, and these phone calls are notable because they happen so infrequently. But interestingly, Weijia, White House officials told us today that the president did not deliver any new type of warning when it comes to misinformation or disinformation or any Chinese attempt to try to influence the 2024 election, despite mounting evidence that that's exactly what's happening.
Well, I'm sure we will be following that closely, especially as we get closer to November. Nancy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.